your home for spring football highlights and analysis. Next on Michigan Podcast.
But there's going to be one team that's going to play solely as a team. No man is more important than the team. No coach is more important than the team. The team, the team, the team.
Looks deep for Anthony Clark. Waits for it. Hit. Caught.
This is no time for that. In the pocket and a sack. Tim Jamison.
Brady gets terrific. Throws it. Get it. Touchdown. Knight again. Schultz just before Brazil got him. And a leaping interception by Woodson.
Harbaugh back to throw over the middle. Caught by Collier at the 5 on his feet. Touchdown, Michigan. On its way. It's good.
He's 5'7", 179 pounds, a junior at Michigan. But Jamie Morris packs a wallop, and he delivers for Bo Schembechler.
And here's your first play. Pressure coming. Sack. It is Glenn Steele, number 81, who fought his way through the traffic.
Option. And Robinson calls his own number, and he's going to score. Oh, an easy touchdown for Robinson and Michigan.
Win it. We're going to win the championship again because we're going to play as a team. And when we play as a team and the old season is over, you and I know it's going to be Michigan again. Michigan.
Go Blue, I'm Steve Deace, and welcome to a special episode of Michigan Podcast as we're going to look back and review what we saw from Michigan's spring football scrimmage. It's our first true look at the 2019 Wolverines. And coming up a little bit later in this episode, we're going to do some live film review from the scrimmage itself. So make sure you are tuned in for that. But we begin by looking at some of the things that caught my interest in real time as I was watching events unfold in Ann Arbor last Saturday, beginning with really the way Dan Deerdorf, I thought, started off Michigan's radio broadcast. Quote, "No subtlety, changes are big," unquote, on offense. And the former Michigan great, All-American, and the color man on Michigan radio play-by-play says that he's also happy to see it. So that goes to those of you saying, "I'll believe it when I see it," that we're not going to, continue to run 47 tight end sets. Dan Deerdorf is adamant, hey, the changes are big. And we saw those changes on Saturday. John Jansen from the radio broadcast says that he thought the offensive linemen looked noticeably slimmer than last year due to the up-tempo offense as well. Jim Harbaugh was on the broadcast praising Josh Gaddis's overall coaching ability, saying his new offensive coordinator is directly involved at several positions. I was looking at some of the players. Michael Onwenu, who earned the nickname Big Mike, I thought he looked noticeably slimmer to me from where he was last year. That was a big point of contention. You might recall Harbaugh said that Michael Dwumfor had been out most of the spring. He was worried his injury was more serious than they thought, but we saw him out there doing drills last Saturday too. Andrew Stuber, this is from Nick Baumgartner at the Detroit Free Press, who says Andrew Stuber and Jalen Mayfield continued to alternate at right tackle in drills, and it seemed like it's still happening at the pace offensive line coach Ed Warner described earlier in the spring. I mean, Jalen Mayfield and Ryan Hayes both look like totally different football players from where they came in as true freshmen a year ago. Doug Karsh from the Michigan Broadcast Network called the much-hyped Mike Sanderstill a, quote, cheat code, what a great reference that is, and says this is the most hype he's heard for a freshman wide receiver at Michigan since Steve Breston. I mean, we're going back more than 15 years now with that reference. And we certainly saw plenty of Mike Sanders still in the spring scrimmage. More on that in a moment. Nick Baumgartner of the Detroit Free Press pointed out Mazi Smith, early enrollee, freshman defensive tackle, is a big boy. Just gave Cesar Ruiz all he wanted and then some. Also, Julius Welschow, remember him? Late signee in the 2018 class out of Germany, says that he's filled out quite a bit. Several people have noted that he was clearly in beast mode during off-season conditioning and looks like he is ready to contribute physically. Josh Henske at the Michigan Insider noted Michigan has a guy holding up signs on the sidelines as the plays are called in. Definitely modernized in that sense. And again, those are the sorts of signs you're looking for. Are they fully immersed in this new Josh Gaddis offense? And that's one of the signs that Michigan is. No doubt about it. Tom Van Haren at ESPN said freshman Mike Sanders still scored over the middle from Shea Patterson, which likely will increase the hype that has been surrounding Sanders still so far at Michigan. Hard to believe, just a 3-star prospect, Mike Sanders still. And Michigan, I was really impressed with how Michigan was throwing the ball over the middle. And it literally added meaning to my life each time because I've been yelling for this for the last decade plus. Throw the ball in the middle of the field. And here they do to Mike Sanders still.
Motion. And back to throw. Patterson throws over the middle, crossing route. This is St. Ristel. He got it at the 20, beat one guy, and of course runs into the end zone, although the defense is not.
Saw a lot of that young man, number 19, in the spring scrimmage. You're going to see a lot of him as well come fall. Matt Pargoff notes Michigan fans should not sure if Michigan fans should take from the Sanders still plays that U of M is using the crossing route that killed them in the Ohio State game, or that the defense still can't stop it. You know, I said to you last week previewing spring football, remember, everything good that you see happens at the expense of something bad for your same team, and everything bad that happens happens at the expense as well. So keep that in mind. So it's probably the answer to that question of either or is yes. Donovan Jeter is a young man they're really counting on the defensive line this year. And boy, did he pass the eye test. I mean, he looked like a monster out there on Saturday. He looked like he is absolutely ready to play major minutes, and they're going to need him to. And then we got this glimpse into the future.
Setting up.
Well, it is. And we all know the rules. If the offense substitutes, they have to give the defense time to make the same substitution.
So there you saw John Jansen and Jim Branstetter were talking about a side matter. One of the big pass plays took place in the spring game on Saturday. Joe Milton to Eric All, freshman to freshman. Going to be seeing a lot more of that in the years to come at Michigan. The young tight end continues to get rave reviews. Sam Webb from the Michigan Insider noted pressure by Ben Mason helped force overthrow to Tariq Black from Joe Milton on a corner route that ended a drive, and that Ben Mason has been getting good pressure on pass plays, held the point on a few runs, and that he is ready to go. And we've heard a lot about that Ben Mason could move. Yeah, we've heard from guys moving from running back or fullback to a safety, a linebacker, maybe even a corner. I don't know that I've ever heard of a guy moving from running back or fullback to defensive line. But Bench Mason appears to be poised to do exactly that. Maize and Brew tweeted out that the tempo has been good for Michigan. Quarterbacks are letting it rip, not holding onto the ball too long. You saw that, and you'll see that when we get to our film review here in a few minutes. A lot of quick decisions, and the tempo was definitely faster, which wouldn't take much. I mean, Michigan played at a tortoise pace last year, but this is going to be the fastest tempo we've seen Michigan play, maybe, since Rich Rod was here. Michael Spath, our partner here at Michigan Podcast and the Wolverine Digest, says, I'm going to echo what others have said about the single best thing to see with the Michigan offense was the use of crossing routes in the middle of the field to put wide receivers in space and let them use their speed and athleticism against a single defender. And you're going to see some examples of that coming up in our film review here in a couple of minutes. Aiden Hutchinson, another young man. He kind of came to school with his dad, Chris's wiry frame, but he has filled out. He is going to be much more of a physical specimen than his former All-American father, Chris Hutchinson, ever was. I mean, he looks like he's ready to play right now. Impressive specimen there. Michael Spath pointing out Michael Barrett making an interception of Joe Milton while playing what appeared to be on first glance zone coverage. Who says an old dog like Don Brown can't learn new tricks? Indeed. And here it is right here. You see Joe Milton looking over the middle, and he anticipates a blitz. Michael Barrett instead drops back into a zone. So that's a zone blitz look for Michigan. Drops back into a zone, tricks the young quarterback, reads the eyes, and makes the interception there in Michigan's spring game. Michael Barrett, by the way, former quarterback himself. Here's Dylan McCaffrey showing off his wheels. We saw this a lot in the spring game. You're going to see this more when we get to the film review here coming up soon on Michigan Podcast. But Joe Milton, it wasn't all bad. We've already shown you he made maybe the best throw of the spring scrimmage to Eric All. He also beat the blitz. So the young man learned from his mistake. He then beat the blitz for a touchdown pass to Tariq Black, who faked a dude out, and I mean bad. Like pick up your undergarments, bad. Which is a good sign. Shows Tariq Black's got full confidence in those 2 feet that have both now been surgically repaired when he's moving that quickly laterally. And I think Josh Gaddis' offense, and you'll see it when we get to the review, Josh Gaddis' offense is basically everything we fans were calling for the last couple of years. The fans aren't always wrong. Sometimes we get too simplistic. Maybe even a lot of times, I can sit up in the stands and guess the play. I knew they were going to run. I knew they were going to pass. I mean, they had 27 run plays and 45 pass plays. It's not that simple, okay? Sometimes, though, it is, all right? Football, we're not splitting atoms here. If you don't run enough plays, you give yourself a fewer chance to score points and come back. If you're still doing 7-step drops and the quarterback's turning his back to the line of scrimmage to run a play action, you're going to need to block longer for that play to develop. When you only make a defense defend the outer 2/3 of the field, you're just not as explosive offensively. These are things that, you don't have to make $9 million a year as a head coach to understand if you understand football on a basic level. And you can understand football on a basic level because it's a game, guys. It's not synchronous orbit here. It's a freaking game. And so Gaddis' offense looks a lot like what we've been calling for the last few years. Brian at MGO Blog said he was encouraged by the approach from the offense. And this is important too. Say what you will about Harbaugh, but he's willing to admit he was wrong and start over. And that's a theme that will get echoed. In fact, we'll do that right now. Our closing thought and our rundown in real time from what we saw on Saturday while we were watching it. I thought Dan Deerdorf, with his typical and appreciated bluntness, I thought he summed up what we saw Saturday with these words. And this is a quote, "I'm proud to watch a football team evolve. I'm proud of Jim Harbaugh. It takes a real man who's had his success to change." Indeed. And when we come back here in a few minutes and we get to the film review, you're going to see this thing has changed a whole lot. Stay tuned. Big news coming your way for our supporters on Patreon. If you are at patreon.com/Michigan Podcast, we're going to be going to bi-weekly episodes starting 2 weeks from now throughout the off season or until fall camp opens up for the Wolverines. And we're going to be debuting them first here exclusively for our supporters at Patreon. So we'll be doing bi-weekly episodes beginning April 30th. The first week, they will be exclusive to our supporters at Patreon before they go to the general public for the second week. Just one of the ways as the season draws nigh, we'll be adding more and more content to say thank you to those of you that are supporting us at patreon.com/Michigan Podcast. You can see there on the screen, whether it's $1, $5, $25, whatever you can do to support us. If you like what we're doing here and you want to continue to see it, this is one way to be very supportive of our show. And we're very grateful to all of you that have supported us already at patreon.com/Michigan Podcast. Back here on Michigan Podcast, of course, most of you know, for reasons only Allah knows, Michigan's spring football game wasn't televised. I have no idea why. I certainly don't believe the Big Ten Network, which is willing to send a crew a couple thousand miles away to Piscataway, New Jersey in August to record a thud practice for Rutgers, which is on the precipice of another one-win season. wouldn't want to put Michigan's 2-hour scrimmage on its biggest television brand on its network on a Saturday in April. I have no idea why it didn't happen, but it didn't. We were, however, given chances to watch it on BTN To Go. Not a lot of you have that app. Not a lot of you had a chance to see it. So we wanted to do our best to provide some video and some video commentary and review from the spring scrimmage for the majority of you who didn't get a chance for the first time in several years to watch a Michigan spring game. Maize and Blue News came through with us and has supplied us with the video that you're about to see. You'll get a chance to see each of these plays in real time, and then they'll run again in slow motion as we point some things out. So this is early on in the scrimmage here, and this is the formation that you're going to see almost exclusively. I think Michigan was in the under center one time, and we saw this look a lot with this option play that was lethal with the defense spread out of the box. And you'll see here, when they run this on slow motion, what does speed and space look like? Look at all this space here for True Wilson to operate. He gets about 10 yards downfield before he sees his initial contact. And you're going to see a lot of this in the film review that we do. You're going to see Michigan utilizing the entire field to give its bevy of athletes an opportunity to make a play. So you force Kwity Paye, number 19 there, to make a commitment on the quarterback. And since all of Michigan's top 3 quarterbacks have the ability to run, you have to respect that. That's not Stephen Threet running that out there. All right, that's Shea Patterson. This play we saw a lot. In fact, it was one of the very first plays they ran in the scrimmage. It wasn't as successful this time around, but the jet sweep, number 19, Mike Sandristill, get used to seeing that number, hearing that name. A young man does not get featured this much. And the coaches don't single his name out this much if they don't plan on him being a major factor once the season gets here. Not to mention with some guys out for injuries like Nico Collins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, etc. I mean, he's been taking all these reps and getting used to the timing and everything else of this offense while this new Josh Gaddis offense is being installed. Shea Patterson still in at quarterback. I thought he looked the best of the quarterbacks in the game. And here you're going to watch throwing the ball down the middle of the field. Yes, I'm excited because I've only been asking for this for years now. So this is Ronnie Bell coming. This is basically a hot read here, taking advantage of a blitz that vacates the middle of the field. Ronnie Bell one-on-one there with Josh Metellus. Now keep in mind, this is essentially a two-hand touch scrimmage out there on the perimeter. So there's not a lot of physical bump and run, but you can see all out rush here. Great pass protection. Shea steps up into the pocket, catches Ronnie Bell in stride, and that's a big pass play, and the kinds of pass plays that we just didn't see Michigan utilize often enough a season ago. Now look at this formation here where you see True Wilson and Mike Sandristill in the backfield together. So they move their slot receiver into the backfield and they catch Don Brown's defense vacating the middle of the field in a blitz, and you'll see Sandristill, the route that he runs where it looks like he's going to go outside, then cut hard to the middle. Look at all that open space there. That's what speed and space means. Why go out and recruit all of these guys that run like this if you don't give them the full field to operate and use their talents with? We saw Ohio State do this to us last November. More times than we can count. We still have the vomit stains on our shirts to mark that sad afternoon. It's about time we started utilizing the advantages college football provides as well. So again, who's that guy? There's that number 19. Dylan McCaffrey in the game. Now, we saw this a lot. Now, I don't know how much of this is purposeful, but he didn't wait a lot of times in the pocket. I wouldn't say it was John O'Corn, where, he looked at his one read and then ran. But this is a young man, and you can see consistently running away from the defense. With the gifts that he has running the football, he has a lot of confidence there. He didn't throw the ball all that great in the scrimmage there. And now what I do like about this, though, he's still looking downfield. All right, so now he's past the point of attack in the line of scrimmage, so he's got to commit to the run. So we're still in a situation where the option presents itself later that he could find somebody down the field. This is a running play, and you saw Michigan there. Look at Kwity Paye holding the edge there, like we used to see Rashawn Gary do at Michigan, and that's just blowing up the line of scrimmage and blowing up that running play. But I will say this, throughout the course of most of the scrimmage, I thought the Michigan offensive line had its way when it came to running the football. Now we see a formation we saw a variation of earlier where Sandra Still now fakes going into the backfield and comes into the motion. And this is the same play we saw before where Kwity Paye is holding the point of attack. But there's a nuance there where Sandra Still faking, coming into the play, coming into the pocket or into the backfield in motion, and then going back out. You saw this throw a little bit earlier today, and that's the outstanding touch throw that Joe Milton makes here in the pocket. You see this is his second read, or he's looking off the safety, one or the other. We don't have the all-22, so we can't tell. And he hits Eric All there perfectly in stride. Not to mention, look how nice and pretty that pocket looks. He's not even close to being touched there. And he throws him open here. He's actually covered pretty well, Eric All is, but he throws the ball to an open space where only number 83 on his side of the ball can get it. Look at that surge there from the offensive line in the running game. We saw a lot of that in the spring scrimmage on Saturday. You can see the raves about this offensive front are well-deserved. And really for the first time, probably since Lloyd Carr retired, and you can really see in the slow motion there. I mean, look at the point of attack. I mean, the line of scrimmage is being reset here 4 or 5 yards down the field. You know, this was the bedrock position group for Michigan's program in the Bo, Mo, and Lloyd era, and it's been the unit that has held Michigan back more than anything else. But you could see the progress made last season, but then also in the scrimmage on Saturday. This is that option play we saw before with Shea Patterson. Now you see Dylan McCaffrey running it. And you can see, even though Patterson is very mobile, quick in his own right, McCaffrey's just a different level guy when it comes to running the football. Not to mention, look at all that open space there with the edge is sealed. So he had two options there. He could have pitched it or cut it back himself, which is the option he chose for what would have been a big play, even if they had contact in a play like that. This is the old zone read. That's Brian Van Sumeren running the football there. And there's, again, a nice surge through the hole there. A good opportunity to run the football. Another nice showing. Ben Van Sumeren, I'm sorry, Brian, his brother, is currently being recruited. And you can see, even with Uche committing there, coming off the edge is the Sam, even with Josh Uche, number 6 there, committing there to the run, there's enough of a surge in the offensive line that when McCaffrey hands it off, that is still a good 5, 6, 7 yard gain. And the kind of play that McCaffrey could have probably held on to and made even a bigger run out of it. Shea Patterson there stepping up in the pocket, making a nice touch throw on the run to Oliver Martin for a big play touchdown pass here. Now, this is a throw that we saw Patterson under or overthrow quite a bit. Now, there's a stunt there in the middle of the line. You're going to see this on the instant replay when we do the slow motion here when it comes back around again. You're going to watch Michigan's offensive line. Most of these are the starting unit. You're going to see them get confused here, and a guy's going to come free from the line of scrimmage. And you're going to see two guys blocked down. They're going to leave. I think that's Aiden Hutchinson there. Yes, number 97. And watch Patterson step up in the pocket and deliver this. Now, yes, this Oliver Martin is wide open, but how many times did we see that throw underthrown or overthrown the past couple of years? So a fine play by Shea Patterson, one of his best plays of the scrimmage on Saturday. Again, look at that pocket. This is another where Michigan essentially out-formationed the defense here. All right, so these are routes that are kind of what we call man beaters, right? So you're look at the crossing route that keeps Khaleke Hudson there, tied down inside. He has to respect that. He's kind of picked on the play as well. And you see Sean McCune comes out of that formation there on the edge in an upright 2-point stance as a tight end. He's just wide open. Ton of space. Again, even some big speed and space, a ton of space there for Shea Patterson to deliver the football and to make a big passing play down the field. And that's a guy that needs a bounce back season. Sean McKeon did not have a good season in 2018. Joe Milton now, he is a specimen, but that's a bad play. All right, so Joe Milton, this is where you see him staring his singular read down right at the snap. You're going to see, unlike in the Eric All play where he's either looking at his second read or looking off the safety, he thinks pre-snap he has this defense read. And he's looking at that read the entire time once the ball is snapped. And instead, he's baited into a throw there by a guy who was a former high school quarterback as well, Michael Barrett, now turned Viper, who picks him off in the game. But again, even now, we've got a lot of backups in the game on the offensive line. You see Jalen Mayfield at right tackle, the second unit. Even then, you see a good pocket. I'm excited about this offensive line. We've talked about them a lot in this film review. I think you're going to see good things out of them. And even in a thud scrimmage, a defender is going to look to single a guy out for a block and take him out after an interception. You saw number 44 do that in white for the Wolverines. Here's that option play again with the pitch to True Wilson. Again, count the yards. That's what you're looking at. Great block there on the edge. And count the yards. He is now a good 5 yards past the point of attack before you see a defender come into focus. And keep in mind, look who's out there on the field now. There's Carlo Kemp, number 2. You saw Kwity Paye, number 19. That's Khaleke Hudson. That's the number 1 defense, guys. And they were several yards past the point of attack before a defender had a chance to make a play. So a lot to like. Now let's keep this in mind. This scrimmage was clearly intended to profile and showcase the offense. The coaches at Michigan clearly wanted to send a signal. This is a new offense. Don't buy into I'll believe it when I see it. We're all in on this. We're going to make this change. All right. So some of the physicality at the point of attack when it comes to routes, for example, and trying to get guys physically off of their stance, those sorts of things you're going to see on game day in a Don Brown defense. You didn't see here in this controlled scrimmage. But here's the good news. If you're going to showcase somebody, then they better deliver the goods. And the Michigan offense did. Over in Columbus, Ohio over the weekend, they tried to showcase their new offense, or at least their new quarterback, Justin Fields. And the good news is he had a 98-yard touchdown pass. The bad news is he only completed 3 of his other 12 completions for 33 yards. All right, so if you are going to do a showcase, if you're going to set up a unit or a group of players to be successful, you want to see them get highlighted. The Michigan offense lived up to its advanced billing, but even more importantly, lived up to our hopes that it could be the reason this season ends differently than the previous ones have. If you can't get enough of what we do each episode here on Michigan Podcast, check us out at WolverineDigest.com. We keep you updated. Michael Spath and I do each and every day. We start off the day with a little good Michigan morning video from the Man Cave. That's kind of my HQ here in Iowa where I live. That's just a little corner of my cathedral to the maize and blue that I call my Man Cave. So there you can see today we've got up there our first projected 2019 Michigan football 2 deep, assuming that today were the August 31st season opener. So again, if you like to keep up to date, and we keep you up to date on what other people are writing about as well, we give you link backs to a lot of other great sites. You don't have time to read everything, so we kind of try to put it all together for you each and every day at WolverineDigest.com. This week's Twitter results, we asked you, do you now finally buy that this will indeed be Josh Gaddis's offense in the fall? 58% of you, yes. 42% of you, though, holding on to that Michigan fan off-season lament. I'll believe it when I see it, which ranks right up there with do more, say less, which I think was actually the basketball team's slogan a few years ago. Worked out for them. It's clearly Josh Gaddis's offense for all the reasons we've already talked about. You can't change your tempo, play calling, everything fundamental about how you're going about your business in the spring and then come back in the middle of September and be like, well, I don't know. We're kind of not sold on this. No, they're pregnant, and you're 100% pregnant or not pregnant. They are very pregnant with Josh Gaddis's offense. That's the way they're going. So we're going to see a whole new product on the field offensively this fall, and I, for one, am excited. That brings us to our question of the week here on the Steve Deace Show. And it's a question I'm asking myself. Are these indeed possibly the worst uniforms I've ever seen? It's almost as if Mountain Dew is the official sponsor of the Michigan State football program. Those uniforms, if you just replaced State with Moo U, would that not look like the caricature of a Michigan State uniform that, like, if Michigan fans were allowed to design Sparty's uniforms and come up with something that is a self-parody level of self-destruction, if they were able to replace State with Moo U, those would be it. Those are horrible and rightfully received pretty much universal condemnation on social media afterwards. And to think, I like to say self-awareness these days is dead. I mean, Michigan State put these out there to promote them. I mean, they're proud. They want you to see these months in advance. Did they not look at them first? Well, this is the end of our weekly shows for this academic year. But unlike last year, we're going to keep doing this all off season. We're not having a season finale. Instead, we're going to do bi-weekly shows that begin 2 weeks from now. So we will be bi-weekly over the off season until Big Ten Media Days in late July, and football practice begins for the fall. So we're excited to keep doing this. The response has been beyond what we had hoped for, but we can always hope for more. So please keep sharing the link to this podcast. If you subscribe to us on YouTube or the podcasting platform of your choice, give us likes, give us, subscribe numbers. If you've got the option to leave us 5-star reviews, we would greatly appreciate those. And we always appreciate our friends at Detroit Sports Podcast who help us to get the word out about this show each and every week. So until 2 weeks from now, go Blue.